Hey guys, I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that Surewinder is still selling amazing products. Some of you guys have been dragging your feet for whatever reason. If your shoulder hurts, do not waste time. Pull the trigger. I just bought 4 or 5 of them, and we had 2 guys out. You know how much it cost me to pay for 2 guys being out with bad shoulders? We just pulled the trigger and we said, listen, everybody's going to have one on a truck. It's mandatory. You got to use it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait till your guys go down. It's going to cost you more. Buy a Surewinder.
What's up, everybody? Ryan here, Torsion Talk Podcast, and I've got some thoughts to share with you today on running our business. You know, I was going to speak on this on the 13th, and I might touch on it a little bit, but in reality, I really wanted to speak to you guys about I don't even want to say the word because I think you guys are probably just going to like zone out here. But I've mentioned it a lot of times on here. We talk about leadership. But until probably last year, I really didn't like have a revelation on what that looked like and how to apply it. And I think just interacting and networking with a lot of different business owners in the garage door industry, I'm just going to say it. Like, I don't think a lot of business owners in the garage door industry know how to define leadership or apply it to their daily lives. And I've spent the better half of 20 years in leadership, more than 20 years, 25 years in leadership, and in a work environment or a ministry, whatever, sports, you name it. And I'm not sure I knew until about 2 years ago. And I see a lot of issues with how we run our businesses, how we measure things. And, I don't know, it was probably like 2 years ago, everybody went on this like SOP thing, right? Like, oh, we got to have an SOP for everything. And we spent a lot of time really focused on trying to document stuff. Like, it was all over the Facebook groups. You know, Al probably made $1 gazillion selling his handbook or whatever, which I've heard is super helpful, but I'm just using it as a reference. I'm not cutting him down, or his workbook. I'm a fan of Al's. I've had him on the podcast. We even did a lot of stuff about SOPs and handbooks and systems and whatever. And I do believe systems are important. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, I really fell in love with this saying that you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. I'm still a believer in that. However, what if you have all the systems in the world, but nobody wants to work for you? What if you can't keep your best people, but you have great systems or you have great processes? I want to share with you that when I talk to business owners, one of the things they say a lot is they struggle motivating their team. They struggle holding them accountable. I have noticed that there are a lot of employees or subcontractors in the garage door industry who have no respect for the owners of businesses. And a lot of times we enable that by allowing it. We have this huge lack of accountability for them not following the system or process. So I'll say this. What is the point in having a handbook, a process, systems in place, SOPs, training, if you're not going to hold people accountable, and if they don't follow the system, there's consequences. Like if there's no consequences, what is the point in doing any of that? I've had probably 5 conversations in the past 30 days about this very thing. And I think it has gotten out of control in the home service industry to the point where business owners have kind of just given up. They feel like, well, if I let this guy go, then I'm going to have to try to find somebody else, or I'm going to have to go back in the field. And that feeling is overwhelming. It's frustrating. Especially if you're at that 0 to 2 million range. 1.5. If you're in that range, I mean, you're probably going back in the field. In GDU, we had a conversation with our silver group. Some of the guys were talking about them being stressed or whatever. And someone made a statement about they don't know how the platinum group does it because they've got to deal with a bunch of employees. And I said, to the contrary, they probably have less stress than you do because one small change doesn't affect the business in a massive way. One small change doesn't affect their lifestyle in a major way. They're not measuring their business by the week, or shouldn't be. They're measuring their business by the quarter, by the month, by the year. So, what does a leader look like? If let's say that the greatest leader, say John Maxwell, who in my eyes is one of the greatest leaders. Let's say John Maxwell took your place and went into work for you tomorrow. What would he do first? Would he call a meeting? What would he do? What would he do? I'm going to try to figure out what he would do on this podcast. And then hopefully this helps you get through that barrier that I was in. And so, all right, very first thing I think he would do is probably call a meeting. I think he would call a meeting. I think he would call a group meeting, and then after the group meeting, he would schedule one-on-ones with every employee. I think the group meeting would probably be short and sweet. here's what I think he would want to get out of the meeting. I think it would be structured like this. He would probably spend the first couple minutes showing appreciation, meaning like, thank you guys for being here. Just want to let you know that I'm very grateful for everything you do for the company, the sacrifice you make, and the sacrifice your family makes, that sometimes you have to work late nights or weekends. I think he would show appreciation. Then I think he would ask great questions. Like, I think he would want to know what your capacity is, or their capacity. On a scale from 1 to 10, what's your capacity? We've talked about that a little bit. I think he would want to know who has a desire to develop into a leader, because he's a big believer in developing leaders. I think he would want to know where the business can improve from the point of view of the employees. Like, what can we do better to make the company a better place to work? I think he would probably do some of that stuff, and then I think he would schedule one-on-ones with everybody. And then, just based on the advice that he gave me, I think he would start a leadership development program, because he said there are no leaders who aren't developing leaders. So I ask you this: are you developing any leaders within your business? Do you have a program in place to develop leaders? And then I think he would probably ask, what do we stand for? What do we stand for?
Hey guys, I found something that changed my business and I want to share it with you. We've created packages that have included some of the best products in our industry to offer our service customers. The heart of that package is Stealth Hardware Kit. Stealth Hardware is the quietest hinges on the market. I challenge you to buy at least one of these, test it for yourself. Put it on your truck and design a quiet performance package for your customers willing to pay for a better, smoother running door. Buy your Stealth Hardware Kit at Service Spring, do a search for quiet hinge, and then buy that. You can buy a double or single door, 7 or 8 foot tall, and promise you, it'll change your service forever.
Somer USA and Somer Group want to thank you for an incredible year and the trust you put in them and their products. As you know, Somer places high value on relationships, education, customer service, innovation, and professionalism. And they are grateful to you for your part in the fostering and dissemination of these values. If there is any way Somer can support you in your journey, whether through their products, the values they hold to, or the knowledge Somer has gained through interaction with door dealers across the world, please reach out to the team at your convenience. They are here to serve you. Again, thank you from the entire Somer team. Check them out at somerusa.com. Tell them Ryan sent you.
And I think once, I don't hear him talk a lot about like core values, a little bit maybe, like more mission vision stuff. But I think he would figure out a system, some type of compass that everyone can be on the same page. For example, core values, right? We talked about this with Aaron Overhead Doors in the past. I believe that core values are what you live by, even when it's not to your favor. Like, it's got to be something that you live by. So I think it would be cool to develop those core values with your team, with the understanding that we will live by these, we will hire by these, we will fire by these, we'll write people up by these, we'll reward by these. Like, this is the core function. And then the business owner probably needs to come up with the vision statement. So I would say he would probably spend some time with the vision statement in the mission statement. And then I would think he would probably ask the team, like before, like in that first meeting, I think he would say, does anybody know what our mission is? Like, what is the vision for the company? And when no one knows, he would work on that. I think he would evaluate every employee with like a strengths test, figure out where people's strengths are, personality types. I think he would try to evaluate if everyone's in the right position. I think he would look at compensation plans and ask questions and make sure that everything's in line there. And people are like, not the amount as much as the structure of the comp plan. Does it motivate the employee? I think the structure of the comp plan is as important, if not more important, than the amount. Like, how do you structure the comp plan to where they feel like they can, well, your interests are aligned, right? So I'm limited to the things I think he would do just based off the books that I've read. But I do feel like, even though it's early, he would probably put some stuff in place for consistency, maybe accountability, so that I think he would probably have somebody say, he would probably outsource it and say, hey, delegate it, whatever, an assistant or whoever, and say, hey, listen, no matter what, we need to have a meeting with the group, every morning or, a couple times a week. And then I need to have one-on-ones with the employees, on this time period. Can you make that happen? And maybe that's your dispatcher or whatever. So they control the schedule. I could make it easier. I think he would then probably, we're imagining this is him walking into your position. He would, I know for a fact, because he told me that he has a mentor. So I think that he would probably find a mentor that's been doing doors for a longer time. I think he would join GDU. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. I don't know. That was not a plug. That was just me being goofy. I think he would network with other dealers and learn and develop. And he would read books. Probably document, because he is a documenter. I think he likes to document things. I think he would document his journey. I think he would probably go back and read that document on a fairly regular basis. And I think he would probably, instead of trying to hire like cheap people to develop them into what you want them to be, I think he probably would pay more for qualified people who have some leadership experience that you probably won't outgrow. Those are just a couple thoughts. What would you do different if you were to walk in your business tomorrow and say, hey, I'm ready to take this to the next level? What can you do? Like, what changes can you make? I think all the stuff that I just laid out is probably not overly complicated. It's the consistency of those things that's complicated. And there's nothing sexy about consistency or follow through, because, if you go to a one-on-one You know, one thing I find about one-on-ones is I always walk away with 2 or 3 things that I got to get done. So you got to follow through on that. That's difficult sometimes, especially when you're super busy. I mean, that's just a handful of things, but I think there's a gazillion things you can do to be a better leader. My question to you is, are you doing everything you can to be the best version of yourself, the best leader? We just talked about some of the things that you can do on a daily basis to be a better leader. I want to challenge you to go in tomorrow, start fresh. Actually, you know what? Don't do it tomorrow. Don't do it tomorrow. I want you to put a plan together within the next 24 hours. Use ChatGPT, whatever you got to do. Put a plan in place. Pick 1 or 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, depending on how big your team is. Pick some people and ask them if they have interest in growing into a leader within the business that you want to develop them, or that you want to develop with them. Because it's a journey. And then get to work and make things happen. And you're going to fail. You're going to have to cancel a one-on-one. You're going to do something stupid that makes you look like a bad leader. You're going to have to fire someone and it hurts the culture of the team because they were a good person that fit the culture but just didn't fit, couldn't produce. You're going to have to make tough decisions, some of which your team will back and some of them they will not. Regardless, until you have core values and that you start investing in yourself as a leader and your team as leaders, you cannot implement accountability, and nothing really starts until then. And I would challenge you that don't implement anything that you can't hold people accountable to. And believe it or not, people love to be held accountable. The challenge is they don't like going from unaccountable to accountable. So you will historically have turnover when you start implementing a bunch of new rules or systems or SOPs and accountability. Some people refuse to be held accountable. They're going to do it their way, and no matter what, it doesn't matter. And you're going to lose those people. And they're going to find another business owner that allows that. And that's okay. Be a leader. I want to say that I appreciate you guys. Make sure you sign up for free. Virtual Door Dealer Conference, December 13th. It's going to be amazing. We're investing a lot into it. We've got some great partners. It's totally free because we've gotten a lot of sponsors chip in and help out. I want to see you there. Make sure you register, virtualdoordealerconference.com. Register before we shut it off. Make sure you register, attend, be active, block yourself off that day. I promise you it'll be worth it. It's going to be a phenomenal time. If I told you that I thought you would get 10, 20x return on investment. Well, it's not really an investment. Your investment of your time. Take a day's worth of revenue. I don't know, whatever. How much ever it cost you to work, or, lost revenue, whatever. 10, 20, 30x probably over the next few years if you just apply some of the things you learn. Guys, I'm telling you, please, please, please do not skip. It's free. I just made it free. I reimbursed everyone who paid. Let's do this, guys. I want you to be a better leader. I want to elevate the industry. I want to help make you have a less stressful life. Have a great week. Be blessed.